Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and good morning if you're off on the West Coast. I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining. I am Scott Fiaschetti and I'm here with Brian Shopper as always. And again, thank you for joining our out-of-home office hours where we do our monthly walkthrough of the Geopath Insight Suite, do a little training, and answer any questions you may have. So I'm going to change. Yeah, hopefully, you'll see some changes with this session this week or this month rather. I've been trying to ping people and get some feedback from those that have been joining regularly, and so hopefully you'll see this be much more use case driven and quote unquote real life use case. I don't know if you recall my last session. I asked for ideas on possible use cases, and somebody did reach out with one, and I've worked with them, and we hopefully have a really nice example of a use case. So, but overall, what we want to do today is provide an overview of what to expect in the next release of the Geopath Insight Suite. So to be honest, there aren't really any new changes to the Insight Suite itself since the last time we've done a session. That said, I think there is a lot of value in the use case we're going to do. But I'll talk about what to expect in the next couple of weeks coming out of the Insight Suite, then also offer some insights on how to use the Insight Suite to solve clients' needs today through the real life use case. As always, I want to just a friendly reminder that the impression data in the tool currently is for non-commercial use during the beta phase. Again, we're still calibrating, retweaking all of that information. That said, you can still use it for help getting guidance on, reaching an audience, which inventory is efficient at reaching a particular audience or things like that. But also, please continue to work with the tool. Please explore it and provide feedback. Again, we really take to heart all the feedback that we get, and we really try to make changes and improvements to the Insight Suite based on that. So just a quick high level on what to expect from the Insight Suite in the next couple of weeks. From what I understand, the next release will be coming out within then. And you'll know about it from our newsletter. Brian and I will send out a newsletter saying, hey, check out the Insight Suite. It has all these great new features in it. The new release just came out. So we'll let everybody know. But just at a high level, I don't have any screenshots or anything like that, but just at a high level to let you know what to expect. One thing I'm super excited about is the Places 2.0 module will be coming out. In past webinars, I've used that Places module and showed you how to work with it. And, I've admitted that, it could be improved, the features and functionality of it. And that day is coming very soon. So going to be porting in, more places and points of interest. So if you've been on the calls, you may know that I've talked about currently today, it's been an open source, but we're also partnering with our partner here, Maps, to have their point of interest database as well. So that's going to increase the points of interest, and the filtering and ability to save by places is going to be much, much more improved. I've had a sneak peek of it, and so you can literally type in Burger King and I'll say, hey, there's 7,000 Burger Kings across the country. Which market do you want to focus on? And it's going to be really powerful and really helpful. And I think it answers all the needs of what we've been hearing in our feedback button, and even when I'm on the road talking with people about it. So they're really excited about that. A whole bunch of new audiences are coming. So a range you can see them listed here: alcohol, food and beverages, health, retail, shopping, etc., travel, finance, sports, leisure, commuting, etc. So excited about that. So there'll be thousands of new audiences, as well as an improved places module, and then just a variety of user interface improvements, which I've actually talked about, I believe, on the last session, if you were on the session. But this ability to validate your list of Geopath and plant unit IDs. So if you're copying in a list and maybe some of them are either the numbers wrong on it, or you might have copied a Geopath panel ID, Geopath ID into a panel unit ID, or they got mixed together, it'll alert you and you'll be able to figure it out much quicker. And the filter thresholds, which we'll actually use in this use case a little bit today, that is also going to change in the visualization aspect of it. Will help you see kind of how many units are across as you start to do the slide bar across that. And then increased mapping and display capabilities, as well as printing options. So a bunch of new features and functionality coming out in the next couple of weeks. As I've also, I think, mentioned on the last call, the development has really been focusing a lot on the API as of late. Not that other features and functionality haven't been being built with the user interface, but once the API is connected to the tool itself, you'll see a lot more flow of data and a lot more flow of features and functionality improvement. One thing I did forget to say is please feel free to ask questions throughout. I always want to make these useful for everyone. And that leads me to my next slide. So I did mention already this idea of wanting to crowdsource the user scenarios. So if you've been on the last two or three webinars, you'll know I've really done very, very local examples. So I've done a sandwich shop in Dallas. I did a car dealership in Philadelphia. And then before that, I did somewhat of a regional thing with the Gap stores across San Francisco. So I want to make these relevant and useful for everyone on the call. So please, if you are inspired and you say have a use case, please reach out to us. And I do want to thank Bobby Gorzakowski from out front for actually reaching out to me and working with me over the last couple of weeks to create a use case that we hope everybody's excited about and will find kind of closer to real life and something you may do every day. Granted, I know a lot of times some of my use cases don't focus on one media operator. They tend to be maybe more from the agency side. So this one is, I think, a nice change of pace. It will be focusing on a media operator and a different type of use case. So just some background on the use case. So Apex Legends, you may or may not know, is a new piece of Battle Royale game that came out. I know about it from my kids. They're big Fortnite players, and they were talking about this Apex Legends. And so it competes with, obviously, the Fortnite series, and newly launched in February 2019. It really had to gain awareness very quickly to get a large kind of user base, because those games are no fun if you're the only one in there playing, right? So you need a big user base. So they have to grow quickly. And so Electronic Arts is the publisher of the game. There's a different developer, but they're the publisher. They're the ones circulating it, advertising it, et cetera. So the goal, what they need to do, the campaign objective, is large-scale awareness. And they're going to measure that through game downloads and registration. So that's how they're going to determine their success, right? It is the advertising driving people to check out, download the game, and actually register and start playing. Because, again, it needs a big user base to make it more fun. So let's go with the example, right? Maybe an agency. Maybe it's an agency that really doesn't know much about out-of-home, right? They want to do a lot of advertising, but that's kind of a little bit key to my scenario in a second. But here's the background, so the details. They want media target. They want to reach 50 weekly TRPs in each market, and so the markets are already assigned for us, right? So they want to be in, looks like, kind of large urban markets, maybe first tier and slightly below that. So Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and their target, right? So their primary target are gamers that download, use mobile games. Secondary target, they want tech influencers. So those early adopters, those influencers that may be more likely to get people, the secondary adopters and the laggards to actually start to adopt this game. But maybe this agency thinks out of home's old school, right? Maybe those first two are their targets, but they're not aware of everything going on, and they want to do out of home, but they don't think they can reach that out of home can reach those targets. And we're going to obviously show you how that perception is wrong and how you can show that you can reach these types of targets. But maybe they're also giving an alternate target, a male's age 18 to 34 in large metropolitan areas, right? And they've also specified they want big format, large format bulletins. So non-digital, they want to be on non-digital. They want to own the whole share of voice on it. So that's our use case. Let's figure out how we would do it. Just pausing. Any questions or anything?
Not yet.
Okay, cool. Let me just jump over to that. So log into the tool. Here's the Insight Suite. And you know, I'm not going to do my usual kind of lay of the land. You know, here's how you do this. I think a lot of you have been on these calls and kind of know that the orientation of the Insight Suite currently. And if you also were on the call, or if you're first timer to one of these calls, I'm going to, starting in May after the conference, we're going to start breaking these out into foundational level sessions as well as advanced level sessions. But also, if in the meantime you want to get a better sense of the Insight Suite or want a custom walkthrough, again, always feel free to reach out to us at geekout@geopath.org. We're happy to set up a custom walkthrough for you personally or your organization overall. We want to make sure everybody's gaining awareness on the tool itself. There's also other webinars that we've done in the past that I'll point out as we, you know, as we get through the session. So what's our goal, right? We needed to find gamers who download mobile games. Let's try to do that. How do we start to do that? So again, we talk a lot about our audience first approach, and I do think this is a really nice example of that. So what I would do is I'd start to go here and start to find my audience, right? So I would probably go into consumer profiles and start to see who and what's available in consumer profiles in terms of that. So again, a lot of times it's because there's so many audiences, it's really just starting to figure out what's available in there. So I might go to some like telecommunications. That's where a lot of the tech-related or internet usage type of metrics are. So let's see, I'm going to type in games right here. Good. So ways used internet in the past 30 days, computer games, ways used internet in the past 30 days on tablet games, ways used internet 30 days on any device games, or on a smartphone. So I think that I'm going to go with the ways use internet in the past 30 days on any device, because that is the more general one. Let's apply that. Let's see our audience there. Okay, so you can see that everything started to change over here on the right side. So again, we have 29 billion total impressions, but now that we've picked our target, we have 11 billion target impressions. So that's a target composition of 39%. So again, I'm going to largely focus on target composition and target composition index today, because I want to ultimately find the inventory that's most efficient at reaching my target, the inventory that's most efficient at delivering my target, right? And so that's what these two things help to do. So I'm looking nationally, and my percent target comp is 39%. I get that by dividing the 11 billion by the 29 billion, I get 39%. And if I have the percent of target for the population, I divide that into the target comp percent, and I get 101. So it's slightly over indexing here, right? So let's next, because specifically this one is with a particular media operator, let's filter for that. So out front, oops, so picking out front. And right now in the tool, this will be fixed with the next release, I believe, that right now out front's in here as two different providers. So here's the map of all the inventory I have across the country, and I've done this with other media owners before. This map here. So as I picked there, as you can see that target comp changes, as well as the percent. I mean, as well as the the 5.1 billion impressions across all the inventory, 1.9 billion target impressions, so it's 39%. And again, I hope this example is not just, hey, we're focusing on one company. This is transferable, right, to whatever you're doing, and I hope that's clear for everyone. So right on target, 100% comp index. So they're basically on average. So next, we have, let's go back to our use case, right? We have, oops, let me go back a page. So I found my audience, right? I think gamers that download and use mobile games. So we're looking for 50 weekly TRPs, and we have these 5 markets: Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles. So let's start figuring out which market we want to start digging into first. All right, so let me go to assign market. So let's see, Atlanta. Atlanta has, because eventually you have to do them all, right? But let's figure out which one we want to start with. So target comp 42%, 97% comp index. So I think this comp index, when you're looking at DMA level, is really helpful in helping you understand how well that inventory in that DMA is at reaching that target. So you can use it to compare across DMAs. So we have Atlanta. So I've written that down, 4297. Let me do Chicago. Pick that one, boom, apply. Let's see, 39 at a 96%. So kind of similar, but slightly different, you know, if you're looking at the index, but a slightly lower comp percent. Let's see, New York. Just, I would think you'd want to get a lay of the land and how your inventory is doing in that across at a DMA level. So 37%, 99. So a little higher comp index, but again, they're all around that, just around that, you know, 97 to 100% mark. Let's see, Los Angeles. Oops. Oops. So Los Angeles. Apply. Great. So again, very similar, unless one. Oh, that's. Let's see, San Francisco. Let's see if any one of these is better than the other. Apply. Oops. Okay. So again, 36%, 97% comp index. So they're all very, very close. I think for this example, maybe, I think I might go back to Atlanta. It's a slightly smaller market than some of the other ones, but still a robust amount of inventory there. So right now I've picked my audience, right? We're looking at ways to use internet to download a game in the past 30 days. I've got my DMA now. I've filtered for the media company that I want to focus on. And, you know, I know at times that you often may look at different, you know, add-ons. So, hey, I know you want bulletins in, you know, Atlanta, but, you know, think about these units as well. So I see right here as I'm still filtering. So as I said, I'm focusing on target comp percent because again, I want to look at that inventory that's efficient at reaching my target audience. So I see Bolton is right on top, and then some transit shelters. So maybe worth as an example, then posters, trying to see like, is there another media type that is also as efficient at reaching the audience? So I'm going to pick bulletins because that's what they asked for, not digital, just non-digital bulletins. So 43%, so high target composition. And about 96 comp index. It seems like everything's holding around that. Let me clear that. Let's see, is there another type? The top 3 media types were bulletins that came up and transit shelters and posters. Let me see. Are posters any more efficient? 42, so right about, you know, the bulletins were 43, so right about the same. Let me clear that again. Let me see the transit shelters. I know don't have as big of impressions, but maybe it could be a nice add-on. Who knows? Let's see, apply. And again, these are all things you can do as you're starting to look and filter. And you may be already doing these things, right? But I think the tool itself is really helpful in starting to get into these. So maybe we do want to think about transit shelters as a recommendation, an additional recommendation. So a little bit higher index and. But again, I know a lot of times looking at individual units is probably what's more helpful. So let me clear that. So let's get back to our use case. Sorry. So bulletins, I want to go back to bulletins, look at those. Just checking in, Brian, any questions or thoughts from anybody?
No, nothing yet.
Okay. So again, if you do have questions, feel free to ask them. So set up my market. I got my inventory that I want, so bulletins. I've set up my audience, and so let's start figuring out what we need to do. If you remember, our goal was to get 50 weekly TRPs in each market. So let's start to do that. How do we start to do that? So I'm looking right now at just bulletins right here, right? So they're all here, and I'm sorting by target comp index. Sorry, target comp percent. So let me zoom in. I'm in Atlanta, and we're spread out, right? We're looking at the DMA level. And again, you may not do this, but for this example, I do want to do this. I want to think about, because it was very specific about metropolitan areas. So let me show you, if you haven't done this yet, how you can do that. So I'm going to focus. I want to get into Atlanta proper, right? I want to just be in the DMA. I want to be in the Atlanta city limits. So DMA, so Atlanta city, Atlanta, Georgia. You can even get so specific that you're in neighborhoods, and I know I've talked about this before, but you can even get that specific if you want. But for now, let's look at Atlanta city limits. We want to be kind of in the metro area. Let's click that one more time so it's filtering. There we go. So this is all the inventory in the Atlanta city area. That's bulletins. And we look at my target comp percent of 43% rather. And so I mentioned that we have this threshold feature. So let's say, I don't want anything below that. If that's my average, I just want to be above it. I want to have the most efficient inventory, right? So I have a bunch of different options here. So for this example, target audience impression comp percent, because that's what I'm using to filter here, and I'm using that as one of my metrics that I'm using to guide my filtering process. So I'm going to crank it up to 11. No, I'm joking. I'm going to crank it to 43%, which is right there. Let's see what that does. 42. Let me get to 43. Oops, sorry. All right, 43%. I'm going to apply it. So now I knew what my overall average was. Looking, and I have 30 units right now, and it's a fortuitous coincidence. Actually, when I was working this out, it was somewhat of a happy coincidence that I'm at 54 TRP already just by doing those couple of simple steps. But that's not the end of the use case. There's, I think, a lot more to talk about. One way you may have done this today is you go to our O-Plan tool and use the market average and understand how many bulletins do I need to reach 50 TRPs. But again, you're not able to do that yet with the target audiences that we have. So you will very soon be able to have that functionality in the Insight Suite. So by May, it should be in there, and everything should be running in relation to that. So here we have our set of inventory, right? 50 bullets. We're kind of almost there, right? We got that primary target, 54. So you can save that as an inventory set. So I might call this, EA Apex Legends, and then this is my gamers. So TRPs 54, 30 units. Okay, so I would save that. Boom, right? I'm gonna hit save. I've actually done this already, but that's how you would go through and do it. And you can export this as a CSV. So I have all these units. I've saved them, and I have my Excel file here to look at later. Because what I want to do is, there was that secondary market too, that secondary target, right? Secondary target, early tech adopters and influencers. So how do we reach that too, right? We can't quite yet cross-tab all of the targets that we have in the tool. But there's a couple ways you can do it, right? So we have our set of 30 here. We've saved it as a set of units. One way to do it is to look at that same set of units against that other target, right? Could do that, but that's kind of accurate. But another way to do it is to actually, let's clear out and see, do we have a tech thought leader, influencer type of attribute? let's look at those, and then let's merge the two lists together and see where these units overlap. See which units are efficient at reaching the primary target and which units are efficient at reaching the secondary target, and see how much overlap there is, and build a set of inventory that way. So let's do that. So I'm going to clear out. I'm going to clear my threshold, right? And then I'm going to clear my target because I want a new audience. Oh. Sorry about that. Let's see what happens. Every once in a while, if the tool isn't acting the way you think it should, a simple trick is to just click the refresh button up here. I don't know if you guys are seeing that on the screen that I have, but you go into your browser and just click the refresh button. So let me see, because my audiences weren't showing up, and they're back. Okay, cool. So this, to me, is more of a psychographic. Let's see. I mean, I could just ultimately search here, right? Just I can type in tech, but it might give me a whole bunch of stuff. Or influencer. You can type in a bunch of different examples, right? But let me just go to, excuse me, to psychographics. Because for me, I think this is going to be more of a tech influencer. So I am among the first of my friends to try new technology products. I enjoy reading about technology. I read reviews about technology, look forward to it, fascinated by it. Has little, or technology has little impact on my daily life. Technology. So I feel like this one would be our tech influencers. So I'm among the first of my friends to try new technology products. So let's use that one. So I'm going to apply that audience. And I'm going to go through the same mini process I just did with the other audience, right? So I'm going to zoom back in here to Atlanta. So I'm still in Atlanta, city limits, right? I have a new audience. So I already have my inventory, my set of inventory for that primary audience. There were 30 units. I was at 54 TRPs. So I'm feeling good right now. But let me go back. So target comp is 35%. I'm going to use that threshold filter again, because again, I just want inventory that's above that, that's above the average for reaching my audience. So 35, oops, sorry, 35, great, apply. And I have 90 units, it's showing me 90 panels and 155 TRPs. So I'm going to leave it like that because I want enough units that I can see where my primary units are. And I'm hoping actually that there's a lot of overlap in these two audiences in terms of the inventory that's good for reaching one is hopefully also good for reaching the other. So you would do the same thing. You can save it as a new inventory set, and I would use a similar naming convention. Apex Legends, and this is my tech influencer. I have, just to give yourself some notes, 90 panels. It's at 155 TRPs. So ultimately, we want to try to find inventory that is good for both and still reach our goal. And again, you could click save, which I've already done. And again, you could download this as a CSV. So I have my two sets of inventory that I've saved. And what I would do is I would go into Excel and I would use the merge files feature and just choose that I want to merge it based on the Geopath panel ID. And so again, I went ahead and did that already. And what happened is, and I hit a bunch of columns here. So this set of blue columns is my original set of inventory, right? Gamers, Geopath panel IDs, gamers target audience. So I relabeled them a little bit. So that's my set of 30 right there that I said. I know that reaches the 54 TRPs that I want, but I also want to try to reach that secondary target right now. So I have that list of 90 here or so that I brought in. And so let's do a filter here. Let's do a filter and see. Let's do descending order. So how does this play out? If I look at the top comp percent in the units for my secondary target, my tech influencer, how does it play out? So as I hoped, to be honest, when I was doing this, I wasn't sure what would happen, but as I hoped, there was a ton of overlap. So the ones that are good for reaching the gamers are also pretty good at reaching the tech influencers, except for one here, right? It seems like there's one unit that's different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this list right here. So there should be 31 units here. Control C, and now I'm going to head over back to the Insight Suite, and let me do this. I want to clear this out. I want to clear my threshold out because I just want to see how this new set of units does, right? So I still would keep it at bold. I'd still keep a lot of my other filters in, but I want to now look at specific units by ID, right? So let me Control V. I copied it and I literally just pasted it right there. I'm going to apply it, and let's see how I do. So 58 TRPs, so I'm doing great, right? I got the amount of TRPs that I need to meet my weekly goal for this project. I'm at 31 units here. And, but the catch is this, I'm still looking at that against my secondary target. If you recall, I haven't changed that. So I'm looking at it against my, friends come to me or about technology. I know I'm misstating that a little bit, but that's essentially the target. I am among the first of my friends to look at technology products. But let's go back to the gaming one. That's our primary target anyway. So I want to make sure that this, and I think we're pretty comfortable that this is going to work, but let's make sure. So games, down here I think it was, ways used internet apps past 30 days on any device. So that's the one, that's the target. So let's see how our new set of inventory does against it. So 55 TRPs, it went up just a little bit. I mean, granted, you can go in if you want. I'm sure there's probably some level of detail where you may want to start to pick and choose, and there's obviously some level of availability that plays into this. Maybe not all the units are available, but again, I know those are things that you can get into even more detail on as you're picking. But again, at face value, and maybe that this is a great area because there's so much inventory clustered around it, must be high traffic area. And maybe it's because of the target, maybe there's a lot of college students, et cetera, there in that area. So again, you can get more detail, more information on that, knowing your inventory. So again, 55 units, so I'm gonna save that as my final set, right? So EA Apex Legends. And again, you don't always have to save all of these. You would definitely want to save this one because this is probably your final set. And you would do that, so it's 55. And again, you can label it whatever is helpful for you, 31 panels, etc. And again, I would hit save and then keep exploring. But again, I've done that already. I didn't want to take time and have it save and everything for you. So I've done that and I feel good. I got my list, but I want to talk about the workspace just really quickly because you can, as you start to do this more and more, because right, we have five other cities to do, which I'm not going to go through because it would be the similar process that we would run through. So I've set up a project already, and you would do it by clicking New Project, and it would open up, and you would fill in the title here. I've called it EA Apex Legends. And I gave a little description, so it's a product launch and it's about awareness campaign. And I've also tagged it. So if I have a lot of projects and I want to look at, where are all my gamers projects or all my tech influencers projects, you can search by those. So we're able to tag it. And you can see I've set up all my different cities here. And I'm going to click into Atlanta. And again, so I'm setting up my scenario for this. So this is the Atlanta scenario that I'm working on. And so I've labeled it Atlanta, primary target gamers, and then secondary target tech influencers. And again, I could also tag this if I wanted to, tech influencers, save, gamers, what else? Maybe bulletins. So again, you could save it for whatever, tag it with whatever and save it. And then you would pick your audience, which I've already set, as that. And then you set your market. And the thing that's nice here is you start to do that, you can set your goals. So we really had one key goal here is TRP. So you can set it there. And I've saved my inventory set, so I can come here and I would call it up EA Apex Legends. So I have my gamers, that's that one, my influencers, and then my final recommendation, which I've called up and added to the list. And you can even work in here and start to change or add it. Let's say, you know what, I don't want to have, I'm at 55 TRPs. Maybe I want to take one out. So let's see, target weekly impressions, target audience index, reach. Let's customize the columns. Let's see, target TRPs right there. Boom. Let's add that. And let's move this up. You don't have to do this, but since that's what I'm focusing on, I want to move it over. So there's my TRPs. Let's say maybe I don't want to get, again, because at times you may be balancing TRPs against reach, also against impressions. So I get that there's a number of things you may be going against and trying to balance to really make the final recommendation. And here's a place where you can start to do that as well. The target and market rating points, maybe I want to get it down closer to the 50. So I could probably click off some of these as well, and then recalculate. Let's see what it does. And save, if we can save that as an inventory set if we wanted to. So you can see I now have 28 units. I could save it. I might save that. Okay, great. So I went down a little bit. I didn't pick a ton of them, but you would get more focus. So you can see I went down a little bit on what my target is. So that's how, and then again, you would go back out and you can start to do the same thing for Chicago and all the other audiences and all the other locations. Sorry. So I want to do one last thing. I want to go through the there's that secondary, there's that other, traditional type of market, right, that we talked about, right? Alternate males age 18 to 34. So how would we do that with the tool itself here? So let's do that now. Again, Brian, just checking in. Any questions as I'm going through this? Cool. I hope everybody's finding this useful and valuable.
We did actually get a comment saying that this was a really helpful example.
Great. Again, please, if you have ideas, send these in because I want to make these as relevant for you as possible. So let's do the kind of old way, the current way. I'll say the current way rather than the old way. Sorry. So population, we want to go demographics, age, 18 to 34. Let me apply that. Or actually, no, because once I pick it, it shows you here other audiences you can connect it with. So there's a handful of population-based metrics that you can cross-tab. So males 18 to 34, apply. So let's see what happens if we do it our other way. Okay, so I'm still in Atlanta. This is, so 70, oh, sorry, you know what I need to do? I need to clear my inventory set. Sorry, I'm still looking at that other set of inventory. Let me clear those out. Cool. So, okay, boom, we have 195 units. We're looking at males 18 to 34. And so we have a ginormous amount of TRPs here. So how do we start to get down to lower amount? Again, I'm still focusing on target count percent. Let's see if I pick the top 25, I'm a little below. So about top 50. Again, I probably could have gone into O-Plan and done this and known a little more closely how many I should do. But again, I'm at the city limits as well, so I don't know if I could have even done that with the current functionality. So top 50, so it seems like I'm going to need about 30 or so units to do that. So you can actually do that in here as well. So I'm going to open up the tab area. I'm going to scroll this up. So target in market rating points. I want to actually look at target comp percent. Where is that? Target impression percent comp. Okay, boom, there. And it's down at the bottom, and I want to drag it up so it's closer to really what I want to look at. Okay, apply changes. Okay, so target impression comp. Let's sort by the biggest. Okay, so I'm going to go back down. So I have, it's going to show me more than 50, but it highlights the top 50. So I think I'm just going to click a bunch off because knowing that I did my other example, I probably need about 30. And so I'm just working backwards and getting rid of all of the ones that have, working my way up among the lower target count percents. Let's see. Let me see here. So I've got 28 panels selected. So let me go back up and see what that looks like in terms of TRPs and things like that. So 51 TRPs, pretty close, right, to what we need. So that's 28 units. And again, can save that as an inventory set. So the thing that I think is going to be, that I want to do that I think is really interesting, so EA Apex Legends. Again, when you're working on any project, I think it's good to have a consistent naming convention, 18 to 34. And again, we would do the same thing, TRPs. So you'd save that and keep exploring, right? So I've, again, done this already for us, so I'm going to cancel out, but that's, again, how you would do it. What I want to do is see how, so this is great, how, this is their secondary target, we're meeting their needs, it's maybe more traditional. But if we were to do that, what their primary target, the target they really want to reach, are those gamers that download mobile apps. How would this set do against that primary audience? Let's take a look and see. I'm going to clear that. And I'm going to go back to that gamers audience game. So why is used internet in the past 30 days in any device games? Boom. Pick that, apply, and let's see what happens. So let me go back and so I have that panel, and I've actually already, I mentioned I saved that set of inventory. So let's call that saved inventory set. So it was EA Apex Legends, oops, males 18 to 34. Right there, boom. Apply. So that's that set of, I believe, 28 units. And so look at what it does, right? We had, when we were looking at males 18 to 34, we were right on their TRPs. But in actuality, we're only generating 34 TRPs among the audience that they really want to reach. So it's very different, and really, again, this ability to really focus on audience and get audiences really helps with, one, creating plans that are more efficient and reaching the needs of the client, and really just ultimately making us better partners. So that's the use case. I, again, want to thank Bobby for working with me on that. It was really helpful, and I hope it was helpful for all of you. And Brian, were there any questions as we're going through at the very end?
Nope, nothing else.
Okay. Just as we're finishing up, I want to just make one last plug. In case you missed it, a couple weeks ago, on March 19th, we did a session with Horst Stiff, who's EVP of Global Business Strategy at the ARF, as well as Kelly Flynn. She's Director of Business Development at the ARF. We did a really fun and interesting session on making the case for out-of-home in media plans. So that Horst presented some research they did on kind of making the case that, adding more channels to any one plan makes it more efficient and better. So it's on our website. I'll show you where it is in a second. Just want to make a second plug for Geopath's out-of-home office hours for next month. So they're going to be the last Thursday and Friday of every month. So April 25th and 6th. And again, I want to always start now presenting the learning objectives so people can know what to expect. But again, for this one, until we start breaking it into the advanced and the foundational levels after the conference in May, really want to continue to focus on the recent changes to the Insight Suite, and there should be a lot of them, and working with a member to really have a real life use case. So if you were inspired by this use case, please send us any ideas to geekout@geopath.org, and I'll post that email in a second. This is a screenshot of our website. So the Geek Out tab, go there and scroll down to out-of-home office hours, and that's where you find all the most recent webinars we've done, and even the Data Talks one we did with the ARF most recently. So, so again, if you have a scenario, like one last plug to send it to me. I think it makes it more fun and interesting for everybody, and just send it to geekout@geopath.org. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And if there are no other questions, again, thank you, Bobby, thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a good rest of your afternoon. Oh, sorry, one last thing. If you found this helpful, tell your friends, tell your colleagues. We're doing the same session tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So great. Have a good day.